All right, y'all, welcome back. Listen, we're going to talk about Love is Blind, episodes 10 and 11. All right, so these two episodes gave us, we had breakups, we had breakdowns, there were beer, probably boogers, and even some chicken smoothies. Let Jordan tell it. All right, so look, we're going to get into this couple by couple because people are not okay. All right, and I don't know if y'all were feeling the same way when I was watching some of these episodes, some of these couples in these episodes, but we're going to talk about how, we're going to start off with Megan and Jordan. All right. Now, Megan meets Jordan's parents. Okay. And even his mom, and I don't know if this was scripted or whatever, but even his mom seemed surprised that he was still blending those frozen chicken breasts with water every morning. Like that's normal behavior. She was like, "You're still doing that?" I think that was so disgusting. Okay. But overall, the meeting goes well, and Megan actually asked the parents for their blessing. So everything went good, and they gave the blessing or whatever. And obviously, Megan and Jordan are still house hunting, and they get into this conversation about home numerology. Now, I heard of numerology before, but I had no idea that it was extended to people's addresses. Okay, so I didn't even know that was a thing. But she goes on to explain it a little bit, and she says that one of her old houses was an 8, and that's the number for abundance, and that's where she made all her money. Jordan just sitting there listening. He's calling, he's calling it like woo woo stuff or whatever. Clearly, again, they are not on the same page or the same wavelength here, but somehow I feel like this is going to be our only couple that walks down the aisle and says yes. Okay, but that's going to be a struggle for Jordan. All right, but they also get real about their communication issues because there was one point where Jordan actually was just like, "Look, I'm tired. I don't feel like coming home talking when I'm talking at work all day or whatever." He actually tells her that she's a little bit abrasive, right, and she needs to show more compassion when it comes to shit that he's dealing with. And so it looks like Megan is actually receptive to it, though. It's like she's probably had thoughts of thinking, should I have picked Mike, should I have picked somebody else, but I think she really really liked Jordan, and she just has to learn how to be with him in a way that's different than the relationships that she had. That's kind of what I see. But he is exhausted at his job. I forgot what he does, but he says the last thing he wants to do is come home to a combative conversation. So he reminds her that life is different with kids as well, because she's talking about all the stuff that she wants to do. And he's like, "Listen, when you got kids, you got to slow down." So he was, trying to explain to her that he needs time to recharge. And she apologizes for getting on him or whatever. But it's one of those honest conversations that they really need to have. But it kind of shows also how far apart they are and how they see life and relationships. So I don't know, y'all. This might be the couple to get married. But then again, I don't know. Now let's get into Ali and Anton. Now, from the beginning, I really didn't see them going far anyway, but the dynamics of this relationship is really wild, okay? Because she's coming in like she not cleaning up nothing. He's coming in like, okay, I got us, but then Ali calls Anton out for how much he's drinking, right? And they had this whole conversation, and she's like, "What happened to those beers? You drink that many beers?" And he's like, "Oh, Patrick came over and we had a couple." But then she's like, "Oh, wait, so he came in here?" And he's like, "Yeah." But then he's like, "No, he was downstairs and I brought the beers downstairs." So it did sound crazy for him to be doing that. And then there was a question she had about the tequila, and she's like, "Is the tequila still in there?" And he's like, "Hold on, let me go see." Like, he knew that fucking tequila wasn't in there, but he still got up, which, come on, Anton, what are you doing? Um, but he insists he's not an alcoholic, and he even tries to deflect by asking her if her norm is just not cleaning. And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's how it is, and I'm not gonna do it." So she's standing on that. But like I said, when she asked about the tequila and he pretended to check before he said no, like, "Sir, you knew it was gone." So I don't know, but it was wild. But then they show a part where she's talking to her mom, and they're talking about her sister just flat out is not supporting her in this situation, I guess. And I guess she was close to her sister. But the visit with her mom goes well. You know what I'm saying? Her mom says she'll be his second mom, and She's all in on this relationship. Meanwhile, Anton is like eating the way he's eating this food. Like he is this is when she was meeting his mom. He had his face in the plate of the food. It was so weird. And then the camera people are so petty because they kept zooming in on it. Like I don't know what was up with that. Like was he uncomfortable about the conversation? I don't know what was going on. Okay, but that meeting went well. Good, went well too. So now, let's get to Kalybriah and Edmund because they had a crazy 2 episodes to me. It was up and down, all right? It was like apologies and then, like, now, I'm not saying that they both not, like, they both got some issues, okay? But I just feel like Kalybriah is so rude sometimes and she's talking to him like he's a little kid. And obviously Evan picks up on it, but they had this one conversation where she was like, I'm about to say I want to say this story and I don't want no interruptions. And then in the same conversation, she's like, apologize. Like, girl, no ma'am. Okay. No. These two, okay, let's start off. They go snowmobiling, right? And keep in mind, like any other show, we are not seeing everything that is going on. There are off camera moments, and Kalybriah brought up some of that stuff during these 2 episodes. But they go snowmobiling, and they still end up arguing, right? And she goes in and gets some hot chocolate. Then she comes back out, and he's like, "Thanks for the hot chocolate," but then he don't even help her down into the seat, and she's like, "Oh, thanks for helping me down." Like like it's so wild. And then they had this conversation, and she says that he minimizes stuff, and he says he hasn't done anything wrong. Like he's like, I haven't done anything wrong. And then they keep going back and forth, and she literally calls him a bitch. And it's not even like she said you're acting like a little bitch. She said it like in a situation where she might have been talking to a girlfriend, and she's like, "Bitch, you blah blah blah." It was weird. Okay. Um and she told him to stop fucking talking to her, okay? She said he was annoying and he gets her out of her character. The energy was super ugly, and at some point I know she's thinking about, damn, they're catching all of this on camera. You know what I'm saying? It's not just bickering, it's really toxic communication because even at the apartment when they were talking and she told him to sit there and not respond or interrupt, he just looked like a little kid being chastised by their parent. And I just don't see how that relationship has a future. So I don't know what is gonna happen. Like, are they gonna wait until they get down the aisle? Because this is it was cringy to watch, all right? But then here comes the apology part, right? Edmund ends up bringing her flowers and apologize for how he's been acting. And she also admits that there was a moment on the mountain where she wanted to take her ring off and throw it. Like, why would you even say that? Oh my God. He tells her that she's changed him into the best man he could ever be. And she, of course, accepts the apology and she apologizes for cursing at him, okay? And she says that he changed her too. But I just don't believe Kalybriah, all right? I just feel like, I just feel like I don't believe her. And I don't even know what what she was thinking about getting into this relationship with him or continuing it like this. You know what I'm saying? Um, it wasn't really sweet to me. It was just all performative to me because I feel like, like I said, she's running circles around him with these arguments when they're in the house together. I'm believing. But after everything we see, it's just giving like band-aid on a bullet wound. I'm ready for them to figure out what's going on. She's going to have to like really just stop playing. Okay? Stop playing. Because Edmund is going to go along with whatever she say. All right? Oh gosh, and let's talk about Nick and Annie now. I already was like, what is going on with Annie? Keep asking Nick, like, how does he feel about her, and telling him that she loves him and stuff like that. But this particular conversation, she must have been really nice and saucy because they're talking and she keeps telling him she doesn't feel like he loves her as much as she wants him to. And Nick is sitting there confused. The whole thing ends up turning into this dragged out, overly emotional conversation with way too many times of Annie saying, I love you, I love you, I really love you. It was just so weird. It was so weird. And then So they showed them talking the next day, and Annie admits that she had too many drinks the night before, which would explain that cringy "I love you" vibe, right? But then the tension is still there, and Nick kind of looks like he's over the shit. Okay, they take the they keep on with this conversation, and Nick literally says, "Listen, I can't do this anymore." He tells her that he can't do it no more because he's not happy, and he says that marriage is important to him, and he does not want to mess it up. Okay, he's not feeling this person. Okay, she literally begs him. It was so cringe to watch. All right, he stood on what he was saying. He's like, nah, he's unhappy. And he even asked her, like, how long are we gonna drag this on? Like, it was really, really just kind of cringy to watch. All right, it's over. It's over. They packed and it's over. So that's one less couple that we have going to the art, going down the goodness gracious, the aisle. What in the world? So then we have Joe and Madison. All right, it's a wrap on Joe and Madison. But Joe meets Madison's family, and that whole meeting was weird to me. The brother-in-law seemed like he was a little cringy. The sister was, I don't know what's going on with the sister, but at one point she was like, my man, my sister's man. It was wild. Okay, but her mom, he meets her mom, her sister, and brother in law, and the whole thing was them like hyping Madison up, talking about how great she was and how great, how glad they are to meet him, and they talked a little bit about her losing, eventually losing her sight, and how she wants somebody to take care of her or whatever. But the mom asked him about his last relationship or something, and he ends up saying that he waited to the last minute to end something. So the mom straight up asked him if he's gonna change his mind at the last minute. Now, Joe did start looking uncomfortable at this at some point in this dinner, like he was questioning all of this anyway. All right. The sister and everything, all of them was so ecstatic. All right. But Joe really looked stressed to me. And he really looked stressed once it came to the tux fittings. Okay. He ended up leaving, and he told Madison that he's not her person. And if they made it to the altar, he would say no. They talk it out, but it's still over. All right. Joe says he feels relief, a weight off his shoulders, and he admits that he would have been miserable. So, that's another couple that we don't have walking down the aisle. Madison does take it pretty hard because she was all in. Like, she's really looking for somebody because of her condition. She needs somebody to be able to be there for her when she does, if she does eventually lose her sight. But, girl, this all ended before they got down the aisle. So that's one less couple that we have. All right. So we have at this point in the show, I guess it's 7 days before the wedding. So they're obviously doing the wedding dress shopping and the tux fittings, and I do like I can only say that I really liked Allie's dress. I really liked her second dress or whatever, but I don't know. Some of that stuff was just kind of fake scripted to me, or not even scripted, but like just a filler stuff. Like, the things that they were saying while they were up there. I don't know. I just was like fast forwarding through that part, to be honest. But we did find out that Megan met Luca, and they even had a sleepover. She's happy, and I feel like that's gonna work. I feel like that's gonna work. Allie's mom also reveals that she met her husband online and didn't see him in person for like 3 years. So it's not strange that Allie is doing Love is Blind. So that's that. Now, Allie's dress was cute, like I said. But I'm going to hold off on the dress talk until we see who actually wears that dress down the aisle, okay? My final thoughts on these episodes before we get to see the weddings and Lord, the reunion. These episodes were pure chaos to me. Like, with Anton drinking, the fights, the last minute breakups that we had, and then Edmund and Kalybria's desperate apologies. I don't know, y'all. Like, some couples are barely hanging on, and others didn't even make it this far. So, if this is how it looks a week before the weddings, I don't know how many of these people are making it down the aisle. And honestly, I think that we only have one. So y'all get in the comments below. Let me know what y'all think about this season. Love is Blind always definitely delivers on the drama. All right. I do see some interviews are starting to happen, which is wild because the show isn't even over yet. But what is it that really went on behind the scenes? Like, I'm waiting for the interviews that are with people who are going to be able to ask like real questions, because I do watch the what's the reality show, but I feel like that show is obviously not there to get the real answers. It's there to push whatever narrative that they wanted to push from the show, or to do like what do they call it, damage control if necessary. So we'll see what happens, but y'all let me know, get in the comments below, and share your thoughts. All right, I'm your girl Demita. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.